Hi everyone, this is Rob, the CTO over here at Kudzu Software. I'm going to do a quick demo today. We're going to convert three forms, a PDF, a Balsamiq mockup, and an InfoPath form to PowerApps. We're going to start with this PDF. It is a volunteer form sign-up. We saw this one circulating in some videos last week from the Build conference with the announcement of PowerApps Express Design. So we figured it was a good one. It's been in our library forever. More on the simpler basic side form that we can convert. So we'll go ahead and start with that one. Flip over to our software. We'll go into our wizard. Go grab that form. Not really going to touch any of this here. We want images, we want shapes. Contrast ratio, that's when we get into WCAG and Section 508 compliance. We'll cover that in a lot more depth in some upcoming videos. So we'll click next. Reads that very quickly. Go ahead and load it up. You can see we did a perfect job. We got every field. Alignment looks good. Layout looks good. The text boxes, the check boxes are all associated with adjacent labels and have meaningful names. Again, accessibility properties here. In some cases are set, like here on the checkboxes. Accessibility role is the checkbox. And we set a nice little, title cased accessible label property that you'll see get populated once this gets written out to PowerApps. So we'll go ahead and close this, click next. Click PowerApps. Nothing really to do here. It's going to use an existing, so it's going to connect to Dataverse. If there's an existing entity that matches it name and schema-wise, it will use that based on this setting. You can also say update. So if this schema doesn't match, it will update the differences. It'll overwrite. You can also specify overwrite or fail. So if it exists, you want it to fail. I'm going to set up a home view. This is kind of a landing page, kind of gives you a little bit of appification, and you'll see what I mean by that here in a minute. So click next. So as I mentioned, it's going to connect, write out an entity if it needs to, generate the package. We don't have direct integration from a publishing standpoint with PowerApps yet. Hope to work with folks out in Redmond with that. So right now we bring you into a blank Canvas app, which sometimes opens real fast. Other times that getting things ready takes longer. So we'll just go File, Open, pick the app file that we just generated. It loads that up, and we should be popped right into the home view screen. So this is what I meant by home view. So it's kind of a landing page. Instead of just I have this, maybe I'm going to stick this in a Power Automate flow or an Nintex K2 workflow or whatever. But you can see we did a pretty good job. A few things noticeable here. You can see this line wrapped, and this has to do with just changes in fonts. So the font on that PDF was Calibri. On here, we don't have Calibri, so we kind of default to Open Sans. And despite our best efforts in resizing elements and finding fonts that are comparable to the source document, sometimes we're off. And you can see, other than those three little labels, everything else looks good. So we'll flip back over here to the home view. Go ahead and run this. I'm going to create a new one. And we'll just go Rob. And before. And I'll do I like driving. And I also like helping in the classroom. So I'm going to hit save there. You can see it persisted. I'm going to go create another one with my business partner and good friend Eric Eichler here. And he likes anything. So let's save there. And you can just see, we can kind of click back in there. You can see the data's been persisted. We could flip over to the Dataverse entity itself, see that the data's there. So fully working app in a few clicks. We really didn't have to do anything on the front end, in the middle, or very little tweaking on the back end for a few labels that didn't resize as good as best as we would have liked them. So we'll go ahead and close out of this. I'll finish this. Next one up, Balsamiq mockup. So Balsamiq, Figma's coming. It's in, we're actually in development with that now and have been for a few months, taking a little bit different approach than Microsoft. No kits, no kind of boxing in designers of, dictating design by a kit, right? Design the way you design. We're going to use the same detection capability. It's patented, recently patented, by the way, that allows us to crack open a PDF or an image and in a very, into a very high fidelity conversion, to a destination. Similar approach here to Balsamiq. You see this kind of really sketchy, friendly way of looking at it. They have a very extensive palette of pre-built controls, or you can just draw and sketch out your form. We have 3 views here: a main view, a manager, or senior. So you can kind of see how this one could be plugged into a workflow very, very easily. Go back to our wizard. We'll go grab that mockup. It's this file right here. Click next. These read in very quickly. And I'll go ahead and the edit. And again, you can see, very good job. We've got our date fields. This was detected as a repeating section because we allow hints to be put on the different elements inside of. So I just put a hint on there that says is repeater. So we pick that up and then we will read this in as a repeater. So you can see that kind of a collection was created for these fields. Again, nothing really to do here. If we were writing this out as a, in our runtime to SharePoint, we could, tie in, lookups, we could tie in term store, people and groups, do all that good stuff. But, that'll be a demo coming up soon. So we'll pick PowerApps again. I won't do a home view again because, just adds a lot of time. Again, nothing really to change here. We'll just click next. So this is going to do the same thing. Connect to Dataverse, create the entities. If the entities already exist, they won't do anything. Go ahead, back over to the maker, to our blank Canvas app. Again, if I mentioned before, would love some help from the good folks out in Redmond on making that better. Our attempts to communicate with you so far have not resulted in any interaction yet. So we're hoping that changes. Load this one up. And again, you can see very good representation of the original. We have our repeating section as a vertical gallery that's been wired up with all the stuff you have to do to kind of emulate a repeating section. So I can load this up, just put some information in, Eric, he's in product questions, and then we got this guy, Nick, who's in engineering, that's going to be contacted for support while I'm out. So everything's there. Hit save. And just like before, because I didn't do a home view, we're not going to see the interaction, but the data's there, the repeating sections are there. Again, good kind of representation of the original form. And again, here are the different sections. So we have a manager approval. This stuff's all read-only now. And then when you get down to the senior manager approval, everything is read-only except for the senior manager approval section. So we'll go ahead and leave this one. Finish. And then last but not least, the one that hopefully a lot of people are going to be interested in, InfoPath. So here's a medium complexity, maybe lower medium complexity form. It's got 4 repeating sections, a good representation of different forms, some lookups, attachment for your resume. So, not terribly complex form. We've obviously seen some absolute monsters, but also not a terribly simple form either because of the repeating sections. So we'll go ahead and grab that app. We can also do a data export. So if we pulled this out of SharePoint directly. We'd have the connection context. We could literally crack open the XML payload for each instance of this form that was filled out, transform that into our model, and then push it into, you know, PowerApps or K2 or whatever the destination was. Click next. This also will read in pretty quick. Let's pop this one up in the editor. And you see again, this one looks really good. Like, we're extremely proud of our InfoPath reader because it does an exceptional job. And it's, you know, to some extent, it's a little bit, I won't say it's easier to work with, but it has its different challenges, but it does benefit from having structure, right? Unlike a static PDF or an image that inherently has no structure. You're dealing with kind of some static content and you have to like really analyze, is this an input? Is this a checkbox? Whereas with this, we know because of the XSL and the different schemas that are defined inside of an InfoPath XSN file, we know what we're looking at. It's still challenging to kind of put it all together and assemble it into our uniform model, but, you know, it typically renders, you know, very well. So we'll click next on this one. That was a lot of words to say we do really good with InfoPath. Write that out as a Power App again, same deal. If it's there, it'll use it. If it's not, it'll create it. So it's connecting, it's generating the app package, it writes it out. We'll go ahead and load up our lonely little blank canvas app that the folks at Microsoft are going to help us get rid of, I hope. File, open, browse, and don't save because there's nothing to save. And there it is. Shockingly similar to the original. Got our logo, got all the different boxes. This is populated. You've got your repeating sections. It's all there. It all works. It saves. One thing to note with our PowerApps integration is it's in development right now, is on this, go back here for a second. On the writer, I'll bring it up one more time. When we go to write it out, there will be a drop down here shortly underneath the connection that says, after you've picked your kind of Kudzu, or I'm sorry, your PowerApps environment, it'll give you a list of defined connections. So if you have a SharePoint connection in there, you can pick that SharePoint connection and back these forms with SharePoint lists instead of Dataverse entities. That will also open up the door for us to do lookups and other things. So you can populate a drop down with a list versus you know, having it hard-coded or coming from an option set inside of Dataverse. So that's kind of it. So three quick demos. We went PDF to PowerApp, Balsamiq to PowerApp, and InfoPath to PowerApp. Hope it was useful. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you contact us to learn more. Keep in touch. Follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn to stay up to date with the latest and greatest. Thank you. Bye.